Hello, my name is Jasmine Lee, and I am not your mama's astrologer. Welcome to the week, coming at you on a Monday morning in the incredibly unflattering lighting of my child's bedroom. Wow, guess I'm teaching him to be humble early. Yikes. Anyway, this is one of those weeks where I don't want to say things culminate because things have culminated. All right. We have done the damn thing. Things, plural, singular, whatever. A lot's been going on. There's a lot moving inside of us. And the truth is, this week is one of those weeks where we get to reinvent ourselves if we want to, but quietly. We get to have access to seeing things in a way that we don't normally get to see things. And always, I feel the astrological weather is moving us towards something. And this week, there's less being moved towards and more being moved inwards. So instead of walk that path, all that stuff that I keep talking about, taking those first steps, like moving forward, it is the ultimate stillness. And I believe that, really high-reaching, ascending people do this more than just like this time of the year. I don't ascribe as much to the new year because I feel like that is something that we kind of invented. I think that winter solstice, this is the week of winter solstice, I think that these seasonal shifts are a more potent time to make the changes we wish to see inside of ourselves. New Year's resolutions and all of these fad type of traditions that have come about since we have become a very doing society, I just don't align or resonate with the same way I do as when a season is changing, when we are about to experience the longest night, the darkest dark. What can we find inside of ourselves? They say that when you lose a sense, like if you're blind or deaf, or if something happens to some part or you can't smell, that your other senses crowd around you to compensate. And I don't think we often have these moments or times where we access our very subtle senses, those feelings that we have that exist within and around us that are always accessible to us. And when things get so dark, that's the time where we get to feel around a little bit, because oftentimes it's in those dark crevices that we find the thing that we have been looking for, because we're afraid to go down looking. And listen, there's scary stuff trapped inside of us that we have created fairy tales around, that we've created legends around, that we've created fables around inside of our bodies, that then when we get triggered in this doing life, that then when calamity ensues, our triggers become enigmas to us, almost like we can't understand why we can't just fill in your own blank. I want you to think right now. I want you to get a little still with yourself right now and think of, what is the thing that when you get triggered, you just can't not do or can't not feel? Is it abandonment? Is it worthlessness? Is it fight or flight? Is it anger? There's some presiding feeling that washes over us when we become the core bottom of ourself. And that is where the information is. That is where the healing is. That is where the place inside of us that has something to teach us lives. And if we continue to only be triggered, or if we continue to just move forward right after said thing happens, then we aren't giving ourselves the wisdom of the why. And I say this to the 7th graders a lot, as this is my last week teaching them, and I'm feeling that in my heart and in my exhausted body. I always try to tell them why I'm doing something, because in 7th grade, you're at that age where all of a sudden, just because I said so, which is a mom tactic, doesn't work anymore. because there is a deeper why brewing inside of them and in us always. And if we don't understand our why, if we don't understand the reason behind our triggers, our joy, our path, our truest fate, if we don't know why we're doing what we're doing, then a stalemate can happen, a stagnation can ensue, and a restlessness can surround us. And that restlessness is good because it forces us forward. But this isn't the time for any of the forward stuff. This is the time of the why. This is the time of the deep questioning. And I really think that we've got it so wrong, because here comes Christmas and we're all, or Christmas Hana Kwanzaa, whichever you celebrate. I always say Happy Christmas Hana Kwanzaa. And it's shrouded in family obligation, in presents, in travel, in this, that, and the other, and it diverts. It's a diversion tactic, I believe, that we as a species develop these coping mechanisms in order to not look at what the deep root cause of a bunch of stuff is, of a bunch of things living inside of us. And we just hide it with holiday and hijinks and all of these other ways in which to avoid the fact that it all comes down to us, that we are both the problem and the solution, that's us. And solstice and new moon. So we have a new moon. The new moon is going to be on Friday, and then solstice is on Sunday. So we get this like double whammy of thought, this double whammy of, what are you unequivocally going to want, desire, need, grow, move through heading into 2026, heading into this next chapter of your life? To me, this is my new year. This is the darkest night for which we can see the smallest light inside of ourselves. And what is that? Where is that? And how can we cultivate it, stoke it, use our breath, use our out breath, our carbon, use us to inflame it, to stoke it, to warm ourselves through this dark time, because now the light's going to be coming back. And what is it when things start getting lighter that you're going to want to be stepping into? This is the time to sit with it. It isn't the time to do anything about it. It isn't the time to hurry or rush. Really, it would be more so the time to clean up, wash, dust, vacuum, clean out a shelf, quietly bustle around your house in a meditative state. Because for those of us who have a hard time sitting still, please do meditate if you can sit still. But if you cannot, the simple act of working with your home and hearth, working with what brings you safety and comfort, and cleaning it out and taking out old pictures and redoing your refrigerator picture mural. I always have a bunch of pictures on my refrigerator. And put a new quote on your mirror. What, through your subtle, gentle action and thought, are you planting? What are you planting inside to bloom? Because, as all the mystics say, as I've said last week, this is a 9 year. It is time to end this crap. Aren't you sick of it? Aren't you sick of yourself sometimes? I know this girl is. It can stop. You can start something new. You can live out a dream. You know, I think we all think the older we get, the less entitled to dreams we are, the less entitled to fanciful flights of fancy that we are. And the truth is that it's just more important. It's more important than it was before, because we have experience behind us to guide us, but we don't get what we don't put in for. So you can want something, but if you're not willing to put in the time, if you're not willing to put in the effort, then you can't be mad that it isn't cultivated or happening, or say you weren't ready before because something was going on in your life, or you had young children, or you're going through something, or fill in the blank here. This is a time. This is a checkpoint. This is a turning point, this kind of astrological weather and this changing over from the 9 year to the 1 year. It is an opportunity to really achieve, to really find something new inside of yourself. So be quiet. It's so hard for me, but be quieter. Sit in the soup of yourself and see what is simmering. See what subtle notes have always been there, because I've done a lot in my life. I've gone to a lot of trade schools. I've had deep relationships. I've had all of these things in search for another thing. And sometimes just taking stock of all of the things that I've done and accomplished up to this point can help me, can help you to figure out what the next thing really is. Being able to honor yourself this week and how far you've come, and to maybe think about yourself all those 9 years ago. And what were you doing? And how have you changed? And what is shifting and moving? And what can you be proud of yourself for accomplishing? What can you be proud of yourself for working through? Because also our accomplishments help us to see where else we can take that energy, that juice, that ability, that accomplishing vibe. So, that's the week. Also tomorrow, we have the Sun and Saturn in a square. Also, then we end the week on Saturday with a Venus square to Saturn. So I think that this is interesting because Mars was doing that before. So it's like a bookend of Saturn squares. And it is that like final, yeah, I got it. I see that. It's not a time to overindulge, overspend, overdo, overproduce. It's a time to like sit in your lessons. It's a time to just let it rest for a little bit and understand how you can be loving differently, how you can be showing up differently, how you can be fighting differently, how you can be present differently. That really in life, if we can stay actively present, we're really doing something. But it can be hard because we got to get to the grocery store and we got to cook dinner and then we got to take this kid to that practice and then we got to wake up early and then we got to do it all over again. And I know that when I was cleaning my house this weekend, I just felt I'll never get it all done. Every time I dig into something, there's more to dig into. But that's life. There's always going to be more to dig into, and it's where you're choosing to dig. That's the thing. And that's my biggest lesson of this year, is that life has surprised me in such a soul deep way this year, that cultivating something inside of myself as a result of lessons that I felt I didn't have control over. But the truth is, my energy was asking all along for something to change. And just because what changed wasn't what I was expecting, doesn't mean the deep lesson isn't felt, and doesn't mean the thing that I expect from myself can't still come to fruition. So that is what these squares to Saturn is all about. Like, did you learn your lesson? Did you really understand what's the ask here inside of yourself? And to think about that for a little bit. Friday is the new moon. The new moon also squares Saturn and Neptune. And so it is this challenge of like, but do you want it enough? But are you being true to yourself? Are you being honest with yourself? Are you in an honest relationship? Are you in an honest job? Are you in an honest place in your life where you are truly vibrating at the frequency that you need to be in order to gain what you need in order to get the cookie? We all have a cookie and it all looks different. And some of our lives' paths is wrought with hardship in different departments. Sometimes the job life can be hard to achieve. Sometimes the relationship that you want feels far away. But this is the year that you can have those things. This next year, you can have it. You can absolutely accomplish as much as you want to. Stepping into the year of the horse, that forward motion. But first, you must sit in the stillness and learn the lesson of all of this time, of all of this Saturn being in Pisces. Saturn's never going to be in Pisces again in our lifetimes, really. It's going to move forward. It's going to move into this Aryan cycle. And Aries is fire, and Aries is about the self, and Aries is about the body, and Aries is about accomplishment, and Aries is about this person first, not being selfish, but being centered in self, not being self-centered, but being centered in self. And the people who are going to experience the most success are the people who are willing to get centered, are the people who are willing to get honest, are the people who are willing to move forward even when it's scary, because these times we live in are kind of freaking scary. There's a lot changing, and there's a lot good, and there's a lot bad. And our ability to find art and spirit and love and self in a time where self feels like it's trending down is going to be so important. Where there is an AI app for that, I'm going to promise you right here and now that none of my content will ever be AI generated, as you can see by the dark eye circles. I will never come at you from a disingenuous place, because that's not where I want to go. That's not where my path leads me. That my path wants to lead me here, to you, with you, in this moment, and in the next moment, and the next, and then whatever the next moments are. I want to sit here in space, and I want to read your charts, and I want to talk, and I want to figure it out. Because within mystery, there is always an answer, and it might not be the answer to everything, but we can find the answer to something if we just go searching. So what are you going to go searching for this week? With all these squares to Saturn, it's about learning the lesson. It's about completing a cycle. It's about saying, okay, fine. Yeah, I got it. I got it. All right. I got it. I don't want any more of that. You know? And then Sunday's the solstice. And we end the week with the darkest night. And we end the week with the feeling of this could be the end. And endings can be really hard, and endings can feel uncomfortable, and endings can shift us and move us in ways that we could have never expected, but then it can also engage us and activate us and begin something. On a personal note, ending my time with the 7th grade right before solstice, right on a new moon, feels hopeful. I feel scared, I feel sad, I feel so many emotions around how life has changed me this little period of time, of how moved I feel, of how insecure I am, of how afraid I am of what is to come, because I can see now how very intensely the world can move me without my permission, without my say-so. It can just move me. And then I have to move. And I'm so grateful to have moved in this very intense way that I have moved these months. And yet, there is a next chapter. There is what happens after. And there is insecurity and fear, but there's also hope that all of this work, all of this astrology that I do is ready for the world, is ready to be here more solidly than it ever was before. The card I pulled is soulmates. And here's what I want to say about a soulmate card. If it is meant for you, it is not going to pass you by. I struggled so much with, why is the ask to step into 7th grade and not to like all of a sudden get so successful with my astrology? There was that feeling of, am I not good enough? But when I pull a card like this, the thought is, what's meant for me is always here for me. And sometimes you have to go on diversion. You have to divert the path. You have to go somewhere different in order to land somewhere new within the place you wanted to go. And that if it's a soulmate, if this work is for me, if whatever work you're doing is for you, the person you're with, the life you're cultivating, if it's for you, it's not going to pass you by. It's going to be here waiting for you to learn your lessons, to do your work, to open your arms out to it. Because sometimes we want something so much, we can contract, we can hold on too tight, we can get insecure, we can ruin whole relationships, being just afraid of what the other side of success, or what the other side of love, or what the true meaning of those things really are. And if we're not ready, then we'll go on side quests. I consider this period of time a very big side quest that has meant more to me than I could ever, ever, ever quantify. And so I sit in it this week. I sit in this last week of expanding my mind, of putting myself in very uncomfortable situations and say, what's next? And am I ready for what's next? And am I going to boldly go towards what's next, no matter what the ask is? And that's what it is. We don't always know exactly what our life assignment is, but we certainly will never learn it if we force it, or if we assume it, or if we push it. We have to open to it. We have to palms up, surrender to what is being shown to us, and then loosen, and then say yes to it. May your yes this next year be the most profound yes of your life. Thank you for listening. Please like, subscribe, share me, message me, DM me for a reading. Because in these crazy times, astrology is what keeps me on a path of my own choosing, my own faith, my own belief in self. And I can help you achieve that for yourself too. Thank you so much again for listening, and I will see you on the other side of this beautiful solstice new moon time. Take care.